apology. No, I was wrong.
Well, listen, mate, at least you said your piece. And I know she's probably not going to admit to anything, but maybe you calling her out on it will give her food for thought, you know?
Yeah, maybe.
Weird thing, innit? Puberty.
Yeah.
Such in a rush to grow up. There was a lad in our school, only 13, had a full-on tash. Not Bum Fluff.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
Hello and welcome to episode 408 of The Talk of the Street, an unofficial Coronation Street catch-up podcast that didn't have Evil Roy in its bingo card this year. I'm Gavin.
And I now understand what people in Africa have been complaining about for ages.
Please explain, quickly.
In TV shows and movies, when people say that they're going... When people say, oh, where are you going? People will just say, Africa. As if Africa is just one giant monolith and not a big, massive continent filled with many different countries of many different peoples and faiths and cultures. And that's how I feel when somebody on Coronation Street says to Summer, where are you going? And she says, America. America, not a monolith. Very, very different.
America, not
culturally,
monolith. You heard it here first.
all over the place. Very different.
Helen, how are you?
I'm all right. I'm pretty excited. Tomorrow we're going to a baseball game because you're so good at your job.
I am so shit hot at my job
Yes.
that they thought about promoting me and then thought, nah, we'll just give them baseball tickets instead.
That are worth like $450 a piece.
We are going to the fancy seats
Yes.
at Detroit's Comerica Park to watch some sports ball.
To watch baseball. The only sport worth watching.
I don't really care about baseball, but you like it.
I love baseball. It's calming because, you know, it's not frantic. I can follow it. Unlike soccer and basketball, I can follow baseball. And unlike football, I understand the rules. So it's nice. And we're going to be like behind home plate. So if you're watching the Tigers Blue Jays game tomorrow, you might see us.
1 o'clock kickoff.
Yeah. Kickoff.
I know, Helen, I know.
I'll be the one wearing the Jeter Drinks Wine Coolers t-shirt.
And I'll be wearing my Tunnocks t-shirt. My Tunnocks Tea Cakes t-shirt that I'm currently wearing.
Yes, the dark chocolate one. Wow.
That's right.
Ooh la la.
Exotic. It's described as a ultra exclusive, all-inclusive experience.
They have sushi on a conveyor belt.
That's how you know it's classy. They've got sushi on a conveyor belt,
Right.
and they've got cheeseburger sliders on a lift.
Yeah. I'm sure they have like one of those like prime rib stations
They
too
do.
that fancy buffets have. Mm-hmm. It's been so long since I've gone to a buffet
And free drink.
because COVID.
And free drink.
And free drink, but we're both sober.
If there was a time to throw that away just for a day.
Yeah, but then we have to drive home from Detroit. We'd have to get like a hotel room.
Yeah.
And then what would happen?
I think I'd get a bit Barney Gumble anyway, so it's probably best not to.
Yes.
Anyway, shall we preamble, my dear?
Yes, please.
Give us some of that concessionary Corrie
I was
news.
going to say sporty. James Cartwright may be DOA on Corrie, but his career certainly isn't, as he lands a new role in the Aladdin Christmas panto as Ebenezer the villain, who I believe was also played at one point by Uncle Stephen. Or one of the other Corrie villains.
Yes.
I believe this is something that Corrie villains go on to play after they get killed off.
Corrie villain in the panto.
Right.
Villain in the panto playing Balthazar or whoever it was.
Albanazar, which feels made up. And also, I'm not quite sure about the cultural appropriation because looking at James Cartwright dressed up like a sheik is maybe not the greatest look.
It's a pantomime, Helen. You got to let these things go.
If you say so.
Or protest outside. You can be that person.
Yeah, I'm going to fly over there just to do that.
Oh, well.
Rest in peace to Alan Rothwell. The David Barlow character has died at the age of 89, so he well outlived his character.
Yeah, that's such a wee shame. David was such a good character.
He was.
We, I think in our classics, have only done his character's death.
Yes.
Which was off screen.
Right.
I still haven't picked an episode for next month's classics. Maybe we pick a good David episode.
Yeah, he's in the first one.
Yeah, it's not really a him episode though, is it?
That's true.
So if you have any favourite David Barlow episodes,
Yes.
we're all ears. Let us know.
David Barlow, remember? Not any of the other Davids.
No.
No.
Yeah, that's another one of the originals gone.
Yeah,
Is it just Ken that's left now? Probably.
probably.
Such a shame. Rest
Such
in
a wee
peace,
shame.
Alan Rothwell.
Yes. 89. He had a long run.
He did.
Yes. And finally, it's all in the family for Susie actor Aurora Bradshaw, whose brother Bobby
Bobette!
plays Jake Windass in the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How's it take us this long to figure this out?
And they say nepotism is dead. And that's Corrie News.
You're suggesting that Jake Windass pulled some strings?
Maybe. It's like, isn't Hope is related to
Joseph.
Joseph? Yes.
And their other sibling is in Emmerdale,
Right.
the Flanagans.
Right. Yes. And Sam doesn't have any relatives on the show, but his father has directed a couple of episodes.
Something like that.
And his brother is on Emmerdale, maybe?
This is highlighting my ignorance on
Right.
all these matters.
It's a very small island.
Yes.
Don't get mad again. I'm talking about the whole island, not just the top part.
Know when to quit, Helen.
Actually, I think Scotland could fit into Michigan. Probably.
This is not helping.
No.
I'm waiting for you to say, and that's Corrie News.
I already said in That's Corrie News. I said that like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, but you say it at the end of the Corrie News, not...
I did. It was the end. And then we kept like, you said something else. And that's Corrie News.
That's Corrie News. Slightly turbulent Corrie News, I would say, but we are in cleaner air now as we head to the feedback section
I
that I
just-
like to call Everyone's a Critic.
Can I just say, I would rather live in Scotland than anywhere else in the world.
It's not as cracked up to be. You know. Gary writes, it may be interesting to know that I listen to your show on a Saturday morning stoned out of my tits. Good for you, Gary. Go get something to eat.
Yeah. I'm not microdosing tonight, so just to let everybody know. I've not felt the need.
This reminds me, last week you said that you got them on Monday.
Uh-huh.
And you've only had 3.
Uh-huh.
So that's every other day. It wasn't as frugal as I think you were hoping it was going to sound.
Yeah, and this week I only had 1. And I was right. I took like a third of a gummy and I was fine.
Excellent.
Yes.
Good news.
Yes.
I have a feeling that Gary's not quite as sparing in his use.
Which is fine.
And that's absolutely
To
fine.
each his own.
Then Wendy writes, can Will still go to Scotland forever? Can Sam get his eyes checked out so he can cross a street? Jodie stopped dressing like Shona to dress like she's 12. And I believe the writers have forgotten that Kenny Rogers / Santa's dad of these two courageous sisters exists. I think the list of forgotten things may be making a comeback. Yes, indeed, Wendy. We'll need to get that out. Stephen writes, I can't imagine Tyrone dropping a car on anyone, even Carl, but I can absolutely see Hope dropping one on whoever it presented with the opportunity.
Yeah, those feet look too big for Hope.
If she did write that poem, it was probably because she was in such a good mood from getting away with yet another crime. That would be great.
Look, I'm all for Hope murdering people, but those were man's feet.
Tara writes, how I imagine the discussion went in the writer's room for this week's episodes. Okay, we'll put in a heartfelt, full circle moment where Tim saves the day while also coming to terms with his own past, but only if we can keep Sam's hallucinated garbage can fight. Yeah, I don't think it was much of a trade-off. I kept on meaning to take that scene where Sam's dancing like no one's watching.
Right.
And putting some techno music underneath it. I'm sure we could have made it work.
What is it with garbage cans, though? Because it's like Sam doing the garbage can fight, and remember when Uncle Stephen was like beating up garbage cans? Mm-hmm. Yes. I'm sure somebody else has been fighting garbage cans as well, but I just can't think of anything else at the
Can you say
moment.
that Sinkhole Leo fought one by falling into you?
And dying?
Mm-hmm. It's not much of a fight.
It's not much of a fight. And that was a dumpster. That's not a garbage can.
It's just a fancy garbage can. Cheeky writes, going to keep my thoughts brief this week. I truly think that Monday and Tuesday's episodes were standout. The fact that it was slowly revealed that Will took the money, which we all knew, but yet again the quiet brilliance of Jodie as Tim guiding Will to the right decision of reporting Megan for the grooming that she's been doing for months was something that I found strangely powerful. I also love the fact that Maggie finally got her just desserts when it was revealed that she killed Alan. It just proves that when you back her into a corner, she does actually cower. And lastly, as usual, Daniel needs to get a freaking grip. You can't just abandon your adult responsibilities because you failed at life. How many women fall for him, I will never know. Agreed.
But if he stops, then he stops failing.
Right.
If he hides away in his apartment and drinks alcohol and dies, then it's done.
Over and done with.
It's done.
And Glenn writes, Ben is plugged into the accent accelerator. The angrier he gets, the more Irish he sounds. I noticed that as well.
In fairness, though, that's what happens.
Yep.
That's what happens with you.
I sound Irish?
No, you get more Scottish the angrier you get.
I do.
More Scottish and loud. I don't think I get more New Englander or pretentious the angrier I get. But then again, maybe I do.
Maybe it's difficult to get more. Oh. Not at all. I guess I feel like and this is now normal behaviour,
Right.
is
You try-
task number 1, be understood
Yes.
as much as possible.
Yes.
And when I'm angry, being understood is probably best
To not be.
put down
Right.
a number or 2.
Yeah, and you're not
Being misunderstood might be better.
and you're not as conscious. It's like when you get really excited as well. It's the same thing. You get more Scottish, which actually is not a bad thing.
Oh, hi, the new. Feedback is always welcome. Thank you to Glenn, to Cheeky, to Tara, to Stephen, to Wendy, and to Gary. I'm blushing a little bit.
We bet.
Send us your thoughts and I'll probably read them out. Get us at thetalkofthestreet@gmail.com, or our DMs are open at Corrie Podcast. We love it when people write actual letters to us. Send us your proper mail to the Talk of the Street, PO Box 12, Eaton Rapids, Michigan, 48827. Please note that we reserve the right to edit feedback, but only in the interest of brevity. And I must, maybe we can do this tomorrow on the way to the baseball match, is stop at the post office and check that PO Box. I haven't done it in a little while. And now we'll podcast for coffee.
Friend of the podcast.
Yes, man.
Now, this isn't a new friend of the podcast.
Oh,
This is the upgrading of an existing friend of the podcast, but it's the OG friend of the podcast.
Oh.
It's Daisy.
oh,
Daisy has upgraded to a friend of the podcast extra.
ooh. What does extra get you?
Nothing, but you just throws a few more bucks. Thank you very much, Daisy. She
Yes,
writes,
thank you, Daisy.
Updated my membership as me, my partner, and the unborn slug in my belly all listened, so we all needed to pay our share.
Oh,
That's very kind of you. We very much appreciate it. Thank you very much.
yes, and congrats on the slug.
Yes. And also moving over from Ko-Fi to Patreon was Daniel this week, because I guess Daniel was having some issues with the Ko-Fi site, and Patreon is just so much easier to get the bonus content on Patreon because you get the RSS feed and it just delivers it like it's a regular podcast.
Oh, nice.
So thank you for doing that, Daniel. Thank you for sticking with us. We appreciate that as well. The Talk of the Street is and will always be free in your podcast provider and on the YouTubes. But if you think a show is worth anything more than the time it takes to listen to it, if you want to show your appreciation, or if you want more weekly, monthly content, check out the links in this episode description or head on over to corriepodcast.com. Click on Support the Pod, then friend of the podcast. For $2 a month, you get access to our weekly spoiler show, the Talk of the Street spoiler alert, and our monthly classic Corrie show, the Talk of the Street Classics. For April, we're talking about episode 668 from May the 10th, 1967, The Train Crash. And if that wasn't enough, you also get access to our Discord server, a shout out at the end of every podcast, so your name in the credits of the flagship show. If you prefer something a little less formal, you can also buy us next week's coffee by clicking Buy Us a Coffee. And remember, you can always support the podcast for free, get us in front of new listeners by liking, subscribing, rating and reviewing wherever you get your podcasts. Alright, shall we dive in to this week's episodes, my dear?
Yes, please.
We will start with Beat the Driscolls.
Meet the Driscolls.
On Monday, would you believe it? Someone has stolen $2,000 from the Rovers safe. And Ben is convinced that it's Sean.
He would never.
Because that would be revenge for Ben speaking to Sean in a slightly short manner on Friday.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't slightly short. It was quite rude.
Look.
Sometimes Sean deserves to be spoken to like that.
If Sean robbed everyone who was short with him, nobody on the street would have any money.
That's true. And he would just be doing that spinny thing over and over again, which he kind of was doing this week. Eva doesn't believe Sean, who has worked there for years, would do such a thing. Ben asks Will if he saw anything suspicious last night, and Will suspiciously says no. At the cab office...
And also, why are you asking me? And go away, and I'm going to stir him up the stairs of discovery now.
Sally asks Steve if he knows if Tim has mentioned Trisha lately or gone to see her, but Steve has already forgotten who Trisha is, and this gives Sally some concern. Meanwhile, Megan and Will meet up at the precinct. She explains that she needed to do what she did with the baby, i.e. get an abortion, for the greater good. And she's worried now that Will isn't okay with this, but to prove that he is, he announces that he nicked $2,000 from the Rover safe. It was Will!
What?
It wasn't Sean after all.
No. Or like a bad guy robber who we've never seen before.
Ryan loves nicking things from the safe.
That's true. I forgot all about Ryan nicking stuff from the safe.
Because he's so good at it. Megan is appalled and wants him to put it back, but he says that they need it for their new start, and nobody knows, and they'll be eating croissants in bed in France by the time anyone suspects them, and he hands the wad of cash over to her. But back at the pub, Eva does suspect him, and confronts him gently about it, so he obviously overreacts, turns his pockets out and fucks off in a huff again. So with that line exhausted, Eva approaches Sean, but he reacts just about as badly and threatens to quit, especially once Ben gets involved. Ben is the one to storm off to the back room this time, where he's joined by Steve, once he realises he's not getting a pint anytime soon. Ben tells Steve that he doesn't really think it's Sean, but his head's a mess with the whole Megan thing, and he doesn't know how he's going to say goodbye to Will. Steve suggests that he outsources his parental responsibilities to Tim, who can take care of it and drive him to the train station. Brilliant idea. So Ben apologises to Sean and puts Will in the care of Tim, and they set off to the train station. But in the back seat, Will has already bought his ticket to the airport. Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun.
On Tuesday, I guess now we're just later on Monday, on Tuesday.
Yeah.
The cab doesn't get very far before it's held up in traffic at temporary lights, and then Tim gets a notification that trains out of Manchester have been cancelled thanks to a points failure. Will insists that his is still running, and if it's cancelled, he'll just get the next one or sleep at the station, and Tim thinks this is weird when he has a perfectly good home to go to. At the Rovers, Maggie has caught wind of the train cancellations, but Will isn't answering any of their calls. Then later, Susie has decided that enough time has passed, and now she can tell Eva and Ben that she saw Will nick the cash from the safe last night.
Yes.
She saw it with her own eyes.
Her own two eyes.
That's right.
Yay.
So Ben hightails it to the cab office and gets Steve to text Tim to bring Will home, but to play it cool. How cool? Daddy cool.
Yeah.
As he doesn't want Will to be spooked and to do a runner, albeit probably quite a slow one. In the cab, Tim has brought up the elephant in the room and talks about the recent events with Megan and how victims should be believed. Nothing happened though, says Will. Well, then you should be believed, says Tim. And that seems to get Will on side. Then he starts to talk about his own experience with Trisha and how everyone thought he was top dog, even his teachers. One of whom apparently called him stud. Do you know, but you can imagine it. In the 70s and 80s, you can imagine it happening. But it wasn't right. Now this, Will opens up and says that was how he felt with Megan, and he admits that things did happen between them and says that they were in love. But it wasn't right, says Tim.
But nobody high-fived him.
No.
No, Will does not get high fives.
But it wasn't right, says Tim. Even though I didn't know it at the time, it was rape. Will says if he tells anyone, he'll deny it. But Tim says he doesn't plan on telling anybody anything. And then Will says that Megan was pregnant with his baby. Not Daniel's, asks Tim, and then points out how fucked up it is for someone who claims to be in love with you to shack up and potentially get knocked up by someone else just to appear normal. And Will seems to agree on this point. You're still a kid, says Tim. I'm not a kid, says Will. You wear a uniform to school, says Tim.
Yes.
Which is a fantastic point.
Yes.
You're a kid. Will notices that Tim has been getting lots of notifications that Tim explains are just traffic updates, but when Will looks up, Tim has taken them to the police station. You can end this now, says Tim. Go and tell him the truth, and by next week, all of this will be over, and explains how his family have been put through enough. And Will agrees, goes into the cop shop where Ben, Eva and Maggie are waiting. Will and Ben hug while Tim watches from outside like a fucking midnight creeper. Now, we don't normally talk about the show outside of this. Maybe the occasional little remark here or there.
Right, yes.
But we kind of keep our...
Typically, I text you when something makes me angry.
We keep our reactions for the podcast so they're genuine, I guess. But this week, we talked about this on Tuesday.
We did.
Because I had thoughts on it at the time and I saw it like earlier in the morning. You saw it later in the afternoon. And you asked me what I thought about it. And I said, I don't really understand why Will changed his mind.
Yeah. Me neither.
It feels like it was missing something, doesn't it?
I guess Tim's story means that he has someone to relate to now. You know, ignoring all of the young women on the show who have been groomed by, adult men, but never mind that because something will happen later that makes me quite angry at Maggie as far as that sort of thing is concerned. And the whole, you wear a uniform to school, you're still a kid. I think, because nobody has been that blunt with him about, oh, yes, you are still a child, sir.
Well, I think his family have, but it never really means very much coming from your family, I guess.
Right, yeah. And also, they're typically shouting it, whereas Tim's just saying it.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, there was other things that Tim said, and that conversation was much longer than I've described, but I felt like I got the main bits down. So if there was something else that was said that you think could have swayed him that I missed out, then by all means, let me know.
Yeah.
But I just felt that...
It was the end of the episode.
Right, we'd got to 22 minutes. Tim had driven to the police station somehow without Will noticing that that's where they were going.
Yeah, that was weird. It's like, they're still at this light and everything. And Tim says, you want me to just take you to the airport? And Will says yes. And he's like, all right. And then Will doesn't notice that Tim has turned completely around and is not going in the direction of the airport.
He said something about a shortcut earlier on in the episode that maybe hints towards that, but it seems strange that Will still doesn't really know his way around about Weatherfield that well.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I'm happy, obviously, that he's changed his mind, and there are things that happen later on in the week that feel far more authentic to how I'm imagining Will reacting to this.
Yes.
Like the way that he behaves on Wednesday and Thursday is far more in keeping with that.
Yes.
But I was just waiting for something really profound. And maybe Tim just doesn't say things that are profound, and maybe Tim just says things that are what they are. And this is how I feel about this. And maybe you're right that the way that he
It's the plain
explained it
speaking.
really worked. And also the fact that he seemed to be on Will's side more than he was not on Megan's side.
Right.
And maybe that's the difference.
Yeah.
Because the family are very much anti-Megan
Right.
than they are pro-Will. Although they are obviously
Pro-Will.
pro-Will, but they're more vocal about how this woman did this to you and she's a dreadful person and she's a abuser and she's a groomer, all of which is true.
Right.
But the way that Tim's describing it is more from the victim point of view, I
Yes.
guess.
Sure.
And not really, I mean, it doesn't really mention Megan that much at all. Not from Tim. It's all more about how Tim imagines Will being. So, yeah, I don't know. It felt like we've been building up to this for such a long time. I was expecting a really, really hard-hitting, emotional discussion, and I just don't know that we got that.
No.
On Wednesday, over breakfast, the Driscolls are all super proud of Will for telling the cops the truth and grassing up Megan. And we get a bit more of Will's frame of mind when he takes no pleasure from getting Megan arrested because he says that he loved her. And this is the bit that I think really works, that
Yes.
he knows that he did the right thing, but that doesn't change how he feels. And that was really good. Eva tells him that none of this is his fault. Will then reveals that he no longer plans to go to Scotland, and Maggie shits a brick and suggests waiting a couple of days before anyone tells Melanie, who has already turned to a skeleton on the platform at Perth train station. Megan is at the police station with Adam, and she isn't in a polite mood.
No.
And she's questioned by Swain.
It's like, do you not think that maybe your behavior here is a bit sus, madam?
Well, compared to how she was the first time she was hauled in,
Right.
she was crying her eyes out and stuff.
Right, yes. But it's like, methinks the lady doth protest too much.
Indeed.
And even Adam is embarrassed.
Yeah, he is. Swain asks if Megan had a sexual relationship with Will, and she denies it, and says the only assholes who believe this are the police and Will's deluded family. Well, that's not quite true, says Swain. Will himself has said that it happened, and this knocks the wind out of Megan's sails. Eventually she snaps that he's lying. Well, what about your wee holiday to France, says Swain? Where did you get the money for that? Because it turns out Will also said that he gave you $2,000 that he nicked from the pub safe. Megan denies everything. Well, Adam looks like he doesn't believe a single word she's saying, and is really wishing that he hadn't taken this case after all. At the pub, Will is still feeling torn about putting Megan in this situation and says to Ben that even considering everything, the two of them were happy, in love, and looking forward to starting a new life in France. Ben tells Will that the police lifted her as she was boarding her plane without him, and she only had one ticket. Yikes.
Yeah, that was nuts.
And this is what really
Kind of
finally
breaks
makes
Will,
it,
yeah.
is that she was going on her own.
Yeah.
Despite not having a huge amount of evidence, any phone records? Did Megan ever respond to his burner phone? The CPS have decided that this storyline has gone on for long enough, and they give Swain the green light to charge Megan because she's a flight risk. She'll be remanded in custody. Megan has been a cocky shite throughout most of this, but now that we've done the FA and are now firmly in the FO territory, she shits herself. Back at the pub, Will has an honest conversation with Ben, admits that he really did love Megan, and is broken-hearted that she would have left without him, and then he breaks down in tears.
Yeah. I feel like Megan is still a little bit in the fuck around part of the story, considering what she does in a little bit.
Oh, yes.
She still thinks she's got an out here.
Is this maybe her last out? Is this her last cast of the dice that's coming up?
I don't know.
While all of this is going on, Tim heads to the Fresco's car park to confront Tricia. They sit in his car and he explains that he now looks back on the relationship differently. She doesn't recall having to twist his arm and remembers it was him who chased her, but he reminds her that he was 14, just a child, and what happened was abuse. She refuses to accept responsibility for any of it and leaves him to it. And back home, Sally tells him how proud she is of him.
Yeah.
Because this seems to have drawn a line under it all for Tim. He's finally seen it how
Right. It doesn't.
how it was.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how Trisha responds. He's gotten it out. He has confronted her.
Yes.
And that's what matters.
She had to listen to what he had to say, and that was all that he wanted.
Yes.
Good for him. On Thursday, to get him out of Ben's feet, Steve and Tim take Will out for a curry and for conversation about sports that they've heard of. Will thinks that this is great banter with his Uncle Steve.
His Uncle Steve. We have another Uncle Steve on the show now. It's so funny because whenever I say Uncle Steve, and I think of my brother.
Your brother's your uncle?
No.
That's Connecticut, right enough.
Oi! No, because this is what when I'm talking to my children about my brother, I say, your Uncle Steven. So in my mind, just like I think of my mother as grandma.
Oh, do you?
Because I say your grandma more than I say my mother.
Mm.
It's like, sometimes men will refer to their wives as mother. But like not in a creepy way.
That's slightly creepy. I don't think there is a non-creepy way about
not
that.
in a creepy Republican way.
I always refer to you when I'm talking to the kids as your mother.
Yes, your mother.
Mm-hmm. As in, go ask your mother.
To which I say, go ask your Mr. Gav. I'm in the bathroom or at work.
Is nobody allowed to poop in peace? He said in a Scottish accent.
Yes, very soon. Very soon. Although I guess we still have the cat.
Yeah, she likes to wander in. Do you know what helps with that, though?
Shutting the door all the way.
Shutting the fucking toilet door.
Sometimes I don't have time to shut the door all the way. Especially first thing in the morning.
Nonsense. As this is going on, it's busy at the pub as Maggie first gets a text from Melanie asking where the fuck her son is. This is Thursday. She was expecting him on Monday.
Was it Monday or Tuesday?
It was Monday, but it was Tuesday. It was Monday-Tuesday episode, but it was Monday. It was Monday that it was supposed to be going. The Tuesday episode was later on Monday. But now we're on Thursday.
Because she went one day and he was going to come the next day.
Yeah, she left on Friday.
So is this technically Saturday?
There are no weekends in Coronation Street.
It's so confusing.
Anyway, it's been a while, is my point.
Yes.
So Maggie gets a text from Melanie and then gets a call from Megan, who threatens to tell Ben that she killed Alan unless she convinces Will to withdraw his statement.
Which is so fucked up, isn't it? It's like, I'm going to tell your son about something you did decades ago.
When do you reckon you're going to get the opportunity to do that, Megan? Do you think Ben's going to come and visit you?
In prison? I don't feel like that. Are you going to call him on this bum phone you've got?
I don't think it's a bum phone.
I would like to still think that it's a bum phone.
It's quite wide.
Well, she's
young. But it does make me think that this is a call that she's making from her mobile.
Yeah.
Because she's on remand, and maybe she's allowed a phone if she's on remand.
Yeah, because remember when Roy was on remand, he had a phone in his room.
Yes, which apparently is a thing.
Yeah.
But I reckon they would probably still want
recording it.
They would want it to be recorded, and they would want you to use that rather than a mobile.
Yeah.
For the purposes of plot, probably.
Yeah.
I don't think this is getting recorded.
I'm sure that they will at some point confiscate her phone, or maybe she has to turn it in at the end of the day or something. So they will get this information eventually.
Later, Melanie calls Ben, but before he can pick up, Maggie tells him not to answer it. She has something to tell him. And it's quite a convoluted story that she tells. It's like, you need to be paying attention here. Because she said earlier that it was just a bank scam that was on the phone to her. So she has to tell Ben that it wasn't a bank scam. It was Megan that called this morning and then asks him if he remembers how his dad died.
And he's like, what does this have to do with the price of tea in China?
Right, exactly. Are these things connected? Maggie tells him that contrary to the official line, she wasn't at the bottom of the stairs when Alan fell. She was at the top of the stairs, and they were arguing, and there was a struggle. ... So you pushed them, says Ben. And Maggie claims that she doesn't know. It all happened too fast.
Right. There was a struggle. But
she made up her story because of her boys, and she didn't want to be taken into care. And well, what the fuck has this got to do with Megan? And why are you telling me now, says Ben. So Maggie has to explain that Finn thought that he saw something, and told Melanie, and Melanie was blackmailing Maggie to back the Scotland plan, or she would blab about that.
And Megan overheard,
And
and
then
so
Megan
also
overheard.
tried to blackmail her with it.
Right. And I think this is definitely a function of what happens when you have too many villains on the street, that somebody can get blackmailed by two separate people for the same thing at the same time.
Both of whose names begin with the letter M, which
That's-
also your name begins with the letter M.
That's not quite as important.
Right, yes, but it's a triangle of M's.
First Jim, now this, says Ben, and Maggie doesn't wait to be told to GTF. She gets her stuff and goes to the rape hotel to get a room for the night, and she finds a kindred spirit in Debbie, who has also lied to her son for her entire life. Debbie's advice is to sit it out.
Yes, but Debbie never killed anybody.
No. Debbie's advice is to sit it out, and Ben will eventually come round because he's such a fucking pussy. Ben fills in Eva
But not like that.
and then tells her everything that happened between him and Maggie, and how their family moves from one disaster to the next and is totally fucked up.
Yes.
Maggie's confession then.
I'm
If it wasn't
I'm
so...
trying to remember that episode. I'm trying to remember in that episode because they were arguing and fighting, and he
Yeah.
was threatening her with the information that he wasn't really Ben's dad or something.
Mm-hmm. And he was going to take his kids.
Right.
Or
And then he fell down the stairs, and I can't remember if she blatantly pushed him.
She did.
Okay. So it wasn't just quote unquote a struggle.
Well, maybe it was a struggle. I think
Because
maybe...
I feel like it was a struggle. I think she was as surprised as the rest of us were that was enough to kill him. I don't think she was intending to kill him.
No.
You know.
But she did draw attention to the fact that he died with his eyes open, which I think was personally the funniest thing about Alan's death. Because it looked like he was fine.
Yeah.
And so, oh no, wait, he's supposed to be dead?
Yeah. On
If you're going to have
that
someone...
lush carpeted stairway
If you're
of
gonna
like
have-
4 stairs.
Someone die with their eyes open, you need to have their tongue hanging out.
Right.
It's a lot.
And maybe a bit of jam on their head.
Was he trying to barge by her and she shoved him off and he was like, oh, and down he went.
I seem to remember that, but then again, that might be Carla with her brother.
It's so difficult to keep up.
It's so difficult because so many people get pushed down the stairs in this show.
Maggie's
an
explanation,
epidemic.
though, I've got something to tell you, but none of it is going to make sense for a long time, and then it'll all come together, because you're going to be thinking for the vast majority of this, what has this got to do with anything? It takes forever to get through this.
I know, because Ben keeps interrupting. Kind of reminds me of you when we're doing spoiler alert.
That's the point.
Yes, but
The
sometimes
point
you
is
do
to chat about it.
sometimes you do it like right in the middle of a sentence or a joke, which is worse.
Oh, welcome to my world.
At least my jokes are funny.
Oh, well, you certainly think so. Sign up to be a friend of the podcast for more of this crisp banter.
Yes.
Ben's reaction was, I guess, predictable. This is the second time he's thrown her out.
I'm trying to imagine how I would react to that sort of thing. How anybody would react, because it's such an outlandish thing.
Right.
Oh, remember when your dad accidentally fell down the stairs and died?
Yeah, I accidentally killed him with a laser beam. And you go, what? You'd be focusing on where did you get a laser beam?
Right.
Rather than you killed my dad.
Right. Yeah.
And then there's all the Maggie's wanting this and Megan's wanting it. Maggie should be thrilled that everyone seems to think that she's the only woman who can get things done in this family.
Yeah.
There's no point talking to anybody else. Talk to Maggie. And I guess it's true.
Yeah.
Because you can manipulate the rest of them like nothing on earth.
Yeah. I also not really fond of Ben's reaction later that, oh, we'll just tell the kids that you and she had an argument and that's why she left.
Yeah, she wants
rather than
the truth.
your gran killed your grandpa who you never met.
Right.
The
This is
the original one.
You've been lying to me my whole life, so now I'm going to lie to my children about
Right,
that.
yes.
Yeah. So on Friday,
And throw my wife under the bus.
So on Friday, Ben has black-bagged Maggie's stuff, dumped it in the pavement outside the Rovers, and announced that if she doesn't get it picked up by tomorrow, he'll cover it in petrol and torch it. Irish. Maggie...
We're going to get letters.
Maggie oh, come on, they walked right into it. Maggie comes round the corner, hears this and reminds Ben that she's still his mummy. In name only, Maggie spits, and if I could do something about that, I would. He goes inside and it's left to Cassie and Steve to take pity on Maggie.
Maybe Tim and Sally can adopt him.
Adopt Ben.
Yes.
Tim's going to get all... Sally, we need to talk. I really need something in my life, and I think it's adopting Ben. But Ben's 40 years old, says Sally. Mm-hmm. He still needs our love.
Yeah. I mean, he's adopting everyone else on the street slowly. And then taking them for meals, which is, I felt like, it's like, why is Will enjoying this meal with Steve and Tim?
When he enjoys nothing. He enjoys not a single thing.
He does not enjoy the company of any other adult on the street.
No, the only thing that he's enjoyed up till now is the occasional conversation with his sister.
Right, yes. And shagging Megan.
Those two things.
Yes.
So number one, Maggie basically fills Steve in
But not like that!
on her possibly killing Alan. And I was surprised at how much detail she goes into with Steve about this.
I guess because she has no one else to talk about this with. Because let's not forget, she kind of hated Steve for a while there for being Jim McDonald's son.
Mm-hmm. Plus he's Steve, you know.
Oh.
Steve promises to try and do something about the situation by speaking to Ben. In the pub, though, Ben is in no mood to discuss this with him, and Steve utterly fails to read the room and plays the family card one too many times when Ben tells him that it's none of his fucking business. He's like, "It is my business. This is family. I'm your family." And Ben's like, "I am so close to punching your fucking lights out."
Right.
Ben's had enough, throws Steve out, then throws Dev out for asking about a hot pot, and then throws out an actor in a non-speaking role for slurping his pint. In a quieter moment later, Ben worries that everything he does these days turns to shit. Eva, whose dress is a blancmange today, tells him that he's more than good enough for her. And that's as far as we get with that this week.
Yes. Dev is not in the show a lot this week.
No.
But when he is, he's golden.
It's between this and Roy's eggs.
Yes. I love Roy's eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Why doesn't he
That's
just...
a sensible thing to do, though, when you're buying eggs. Every time that I buy eggs and I forget to do that, I'm like, "Oh, this is my fault if these eggs are all broken."
Yeah, but he's also like asking questions about where the eggs came from and if they're fresh. Also, why are the eggs on the counter and not in the freezer? In the fridge?
Freezer?
In the fridge. In the cooler. The eggs are like on a... They're like sitting there. They're not refrigerated.
As nature intended. Chickens don't put them into a fridge.
No, but once you wash them, you have to put them in the fridge because like all the protective stuff has been washed off. All the protective stuff from the chicken's ass. Or not the chicken's ass, the chicken's uvula.
Uvula? Isn't that the little tickly thing at the back of your throat?
No, that's something that's... Maybe it is.
It is.
It is. Oh, it's a girl house. That is... only for people who've seen the movie Monster House.
That's just for you then.
Vulva.
Vulva's the word that you're looking for. That's not dirty word, Helen.
But there's... I think I was thinking uterus, because that's a U word.
Oh.
Maybe I was getting uterus and vulva, like, mixed up in my head, and came out uvula. Which is funny, because I have all three of those things. This isn't a mistake I should make.
I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know.
We were talking about Roy's eggs and suddenly we're talking about your vulva. It's like...
But you would think, because Roy's like, well, I get these, I get these particular eggs for the restaurant from this place. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't make sense to get my eggs for my own personal use from there. And I was like, why not? Just like order a little bit extra.
It's too much admin.
And take it up Who's the admin of Nina's roles? Roy and Nina.
Nobody wants to get bogged down in egg admin. Everyone's got more important things to do. It's far easier just to go to Dev's and buy some of his shitty eggs. So,
Those look like nice eggs, though. They were all like different colors. There were some blue ones in there.
as they're meant to be.
Yes.
Yeah, an awful lot going on in this, and I think some of it worked better than others. I was glad that Megan ended up in prison. I would have liked to have seen her getting arrested, though.
Well,
I'd have liked to have seen that scene at the airport. Remember, we got Ray Weinstein arrested at the airport.
I thought Uncle Stephen was arrested at the airport as well.
No, he was run over by Peter in the taxi.
No, but before that, remember they arrested him and then they had to let him go? Or they were going to arrest him and they couldn't find him? Something. Uncle Stephen was at the airport at one point.
Ray Weinstein getting arrested by Tinker at the airport was one of my favourite moments from COVID. And I have a few.
Right, because it was like, was it actually at the airport?
No, it was
Or
in
it was just like a hallway?
There was in a set that had been turned into a departure lounge that looked like somebody's front room.
Yes.
It was good stuff.
Delightful.
All right, let's move on to Sister from the Same Mister then. On Monday, over breakfast, David loudly tells Shona that he can't live under the constant threat with Jodie living there. Jodie overhears and Shona apologises and gives her time, but David would be happier if she was gone by the end of the day. That was quite funny.
It was funny.
Related to all this, Ken gives Daniel a call to see how he's doing, which is hilarious because Daniel is in his underpants and a pile of booze bottles and pizza boxes are scattered round about him in his own house. He's a fucking state. Later, Jodie goes to the bistro to call some old friends who might let her sofa surf, but she doesn't have really very many friends and they're not good friends. Then she overhears Ken tell Toya that he's off to a meditation class where he intends to be insufferable. Oh, you got a mantra, says Toya. No, it's just the way my trousers are pressed, says Ken.
That was funny.
And this gives Jodie an idea of sorts.
Yes. For somewhere she can chill for 2 hours.
She finds the back door key to number 1 under a flower pot. Really? Lets herself in and has a good old snoop around while wearing Ken's slippers and then starts doing his crossword. When she hears Ken and Bertie come back, she quickly hides in the kitchen. Who knows how she was expecting this to end, but Ken's looking for his slippers when Bertie decides that he wants fish and chips for dinner. This is what we get with Bertie 2.0.
Yes. Fish and chips.
Ken disapproves, but Bertie says Daniel basically loves all fish and chips. Yeah, well, he's on holiday, says Ken, but he relents and they leave for the chippy. But
He relents because Amy said, this sounds like a great idea. And so Ken's like, 2 grandchildren versus me. I'm exhausted. Let's go.
But not before Ken wonders who wrote interloper in his crossword. And I thought that was funny because interloper was a word that I eventually said after trying to think of what it was for quite some time on the spoiler alert
Are
last
we
week.
psychically linked to the
Interloper.
writers on Coronation Street? Because this keeps happening. Let's not forget the whole dirty limerick thing.
Well, this makes it our fault then. I'd rather that wasn't
And
the case.
also, I'm confused because when Jodie is writing in the newspaper, you can clearly see the crossword puzzle on the opposite side of where she's writing.
Yeah, there's one on the front, on the top half and one on the bottom half, I think.
There are 2 crosswords
In some newspapers, there's more than 2.
on the same page.
Yeah, we love our fucking crosswords.
Are there no other? Is there not like a Sudoku
There'll
or
be a
something?
Sudoku. There'll be a Sudoku in there somewhere.
Yeah.
And maybe a word jumble.
They should spread it out a little and have like a crossword and a Sudoku on one page and then a crossword and the word jumble on the other page. Because isn't that confusing? You might get your messages crossed and put the answer to 10 across for the top one in the bottom one.
It's the only way you'll learn.
Also, Jodie does her crosswords with a pen.
My mum used to do crossword with a pen, which I always thought was something close to bravery.
Yes.
Well done.
Yes. Tori Amos has a song about someone doing a crossword with a pen, isn't it?
If it's not about cornflakes, I'm not interested. But interloper, what a strange word. And she writes some other apropos words as well, doesn't she?
All I remember is interloper.
Interloper was one that
and the
jumped
fact
out.
that she's wearing Ken's slippers.
I wouldn't be putting my feet in them.
She's still got her socks on.
So, with the house to herself, Jodie continues her search and then finds a key that I guess she just assumes is for Daniel's.
I think it says Daniel on it
Well, let's say that it
with a frowny face.
On Tuesday, she walks into Daniel's, but unbeknownst to her, Daniel has nipped off for a shite and comes out and catches her and shits himself all over again. He demands to know why she's there. She says the door was open. No, it wasn't. And why do you have my dad's spare key, he asks. It was on the street, she said. No, it wasn't, he says again.
Because it's a spare key.
So she's forced to threaten him that she's going to tell people that he isn't on holiday. And when he doesn't seem too bothered by that, she admits that she has nowhere else to go and she can't stay at Shona's anymore thanks to the palpable electricity between her and David. So she and Daniel get talking about the Megan situation and how he was a cuck to a 16-year-old, and then he turns the conversation back to her and guesses that she fancies David. She denies it. He warns her that it'll blow up in her face, and she says that's generally what happens anyway. Well, me too, he says. Recognising some vague connection, he invites her to stay for tea, and she asks if she can stay the night and save herself some money, no strings attached. What size cardigan do you wear? He asks.
And here's a bottle of hair dye.
There's no funny business, though.
To which we all breathe a sigh of relief because nobody wants to see that.
There's no funny business yet.
Nobody wants to see that.
That's going to happen.
Nobody wants to see that.
On Wednesday, Jodie goes to see Shona, who has apparently had her curiosity satisfied by being told that Jodie's staying with a friend. However, they confirm that there's no hard feelings between the two of them and no reason to apologise. Jodie goes back to Daniel's and finds him in a reflective mood as he's heard that Megan has been charged. What does that say about him, he asks, that he could be so easily duped by a child abuser? Jodie reckons that this means that Daniel trusts people, and that's a good thing. Although she says not everyone can be trusted. Says the woman who broke into my flat, says Daniel, and they both laugh and get wired into the Vino de Plonk. Jodie offers to leave him to it, but Daniel asks her to stay. Uh-oh. On Thursday, Jodie reminds Daniel that he's due back from his make-believe holidays today, and she reckons it'll be good for him to get back to normal. But when she gets back from the shops later, he's still on the couch and there's no sign of Bertie. Seemingly, he told Ken that he'll be away for a couple more days. Jodie doesn't think this is good, but keeps her mouth shut. Although earlier she said... Did she say something about when she went in the first time, she said you've got a 85-year-old man running after your kid for you?
Yeah.
You piece of shit.
Yes. As we learn later, it's not really Ken who's watching Bertie.
No. On Friday, Jodie sees Cassie coming out the cabin with Bertie and Dorin.
Woo! Dorin!
But it's a subdued Dorin.
I know. I'm very sad that they didn't let that child speak.
Jodie asks Cassie if she's struggling with the kids on account of her being an old cow these days. Cassie tells Jodie to mind her own fucking beeswax, but Bertie blurts out that Cassie put the kibosh on Dorin getting sweets. It's 'cause I have to peel him off the fucking ceiling when he gets sugar, says Cassie.
Right, and we're going to school. It's the morning.
And then she reminds Jodie that none of this has got anything to do with her anyway. And this puts Jodie's nose out of joint. And you're like, oh, what's she going to do here?
Right, yes, because let's not forget, Jodie is an expert childminder.
Yes. Which she proves later in the precinct when she sees that Cassie's been distracted by events in another storyline. Jodie quickly goes to corral Bertie and Dorin, and as she does so, she gives them a handful of sweets and a couple of 8-balls. Quick, before the wicked witch sees you, she says.
Which is not nice to say.
No, it's not nice. And
someone's...
it's not nice to give sweets to a child when you've been explicitly told not to.
Right, yes.
And that's as far as we get with that this week.
Yes. That's Dorin's gran. That's not nice to call somebody's gran a wicked witch to their face.
And nobody can look at Cassie and say that
she's old.
She gives the impression of being an old granny.
Yeah, seriously.
So I guess the main point of this, though, is the whole Daniel and Jodie thing.
Right.
And it does feel to me like it is a matter of time.
Yeah, whereas I don't mind it being platonic. I'm actually kind of enjoying Jodie not being weird and being platonic with another human being. And
I don't know that she can do that.
Like a normal person to him and giving him sound advice. And then just like hanging out on the couch watching Real Housewives of Brazil.
Brazil.
Okay, Real Housewives of Rio.
There you go.
Thank you.
Well, your opening was coming back to bite you in the arse there. They do have a good roommate sort of friendship where they're pushing each other's feet off the couch so they can get a seat. And I did like that Daniel basically just isn't falling for her shit at all to start with and calls her a liar straight out.
Yeah.
And I'm also glad that they didn't make such a big deal of Jodie threatening to tell Ken that Daniel isn't on holiday.
Right.
Because the outcome of that isn't that substantial.
Right. It just means that she's out on the street again. Whereas now he has to keep her to keep his secret.
Well, how much of a secret is it? Because all he has to say is, I just need some time on my own.
Yeah.
And that's it.
But if Ken finds out, he's just going to shove Bertie right at him.
Yeah, which surely Daniel imagines that he's going to have to take custody of his child at some point.
I mean, he hasn't done since the child was born, so...
Well, a change is as good as a rest, as they say. There's part of me, there's the bit that hates Daniel part of me, which is most of me.
Most of you, yes.
That is very much looking forward to him getting into a relationship with Jodie, who is going to be yet another bad woman for him. That is going to...
All women are bad women
Well,
for him.
true, but some are really bad for him. Not quite Megan levels that we know of.
I feel like Jodie would at least be fun.
There's still an awful lot of people that aren't into this at all, that are sick of not knowing what Jodie's all about.
See, and typically I'm one of those kinds of people. But this week where she's just hanging out on the couch with Daniel and they're being like roommates and stuff, this Jodie I don't mind. Because she's not being weird and mysterious. Mm-hmm. She's just hanging out and being Daniel's friend. Which, let's be honest, he doesn't have many of.
That's true, and she's been a decent friend to him. She's given him some good advice.
Yeah, and, and she's brought him food and wine.
Uh-huh. And a bar of chocolate.
Yeah. What else do you need?
He's in hog heaven.
Yes. And he doesn't have to sleep with her.
Yet. That cardigan's coming out, I'm telling you. Our penultimate storyline is Theo No Pulse on Monday.
Well done. Well done.
That's more than you laughed at it last week. On Monday at the cop shop, Swain and Kit are discussing how neither of them believe Gary's story. Swain seems keen to get Kit to poke Sarah.
And I like that.
For insider information, but he refuses, saying that he keeps his private life private. Later on, they're in the pub where they immediately get a mouthful of abuse from Christina. Oh, look, it's Weatherfield's finest, she says. Do I detect sarcasm in your voice, says Kit. It's about all you can fucking detect, you useless prick, says Christina, and everyone laughs. Swain apologises for not having an arrest yet, who explains that murders are complicated, thanks Swain, and she tells Christina and Todd that they're going to have to be patient. Todd is fucking furious at this. Patience, he says. If you guys had held Theo, he'd still be alive and no one would need to be patient. I think you've had enough to drink, says Swain. She's such a condescending cow.
Yeah.
Because he didn't look like he'd had enough to drink. Not at that point.
No.
Later on he does.
Yeah. But,
It's enough to silence Todd anyway.
She doesn't like it when people talk back at her.
No. On Tuesday, which is later on Monday, Sean warns Todd that Swain and Kit are gossiping about him, and Christina warns Todd to wind his neck in. In the booth, Swain reckons that they could have lifted Todd for intimidating police officers. What? And wonders if that show was to cover up his own guilt. She's going to arrest Roy for this, I'm telling you. On Wednesday, Kit runs into Gary on the street and mentions that he wouldn't mind having a wee nosy about the builder's yard. Get yourself a search warrant, big man, and I'll let you into my nicks, says Gary. So that's what Kit does. And he shows up with a warrant and a few uniformed, who he orders to take a few bags in to examine, and this seems to ruffle Gary's feathers a little bit, even more so when Kit says Theo was killed with a metallic object, and Gary seems to have an awful lot of metallic objects hanging around.
Well, it is
It's
a
a
builder's
builder's
yard. The wrenches alone.
It's like going into the bistro and saying to Nick, Theo was killed by a fish. You have a lot of fish in this restaurant.
Right. Or like a wine bottle, which is more believable as a weapon.
Death by fish?
You'd have to eat the fish to die by it.
Big
Or-
frozen fish.
Or like
Bludgeoned to death.
or like fall into a pool of piranha.
Yeah. On Thursday, Summer is hiding something from Todd, but he's read the script and knows that if he just presses her a little bit on it, she'll cave, and that's what happens. She admits that she's had an offer to go back to the University of America, America Street, America. And I'm starting to think that they've offered her a position as a security guard because the school is going to be closed until September.
August.
They go back in August? They go back before Labour Day?
Yeah. University. Because you have to move in.
She says, though, that the timing is awful, and so she won't be going anywhere, but Todd insists that she does. In fact, he tells her to get as far away from Weatherfield as she can and to never look back.
Yes.
I'm starting to wonder if Todd knows that it was Summer.
Or Todd suspects that it's Summer.
That brooch thing. They've
Yeah.
been very subtle about it. If
Has
it
Todd
is-
seen the brooch? Or
I
is it
think he
just
saw
George?
Summer.
George saw the brooch.
George was
George
shown
was asked
the
about the
photograph
brooch,
of
yes.
the brooch.
So George is the only one who knows the brooch is in play.
No, he told Todd and Christina about the brooch when they got
Did
released.
he?
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, oh, an elephant brooch. It must be Summer's.
They weren't as... George wasn't as specific as that. He couldn't identify what it was. Just said it was a brooch.
I was about ready to make a joke about Summer being a fucking Republican, but then you interrupted.
Oh well.
Oh, well.
Comedy's loss.
Yes.
On Friday at the cop shop is bad news for Kit. That genius that the pigs were bragging about last week apparently has drawn a blank and been able to get nothing from the builder's yard
He's
CCTV.
never able to get anything.
No.
Because remember, he wasn't able to get the CCTV off the rape hotel with the whole Megan thing.
No.
And there was some other CCTV they weren't able to get. Oh, they weren't able to recover the video of the drones.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like they need to fire that guy.
This expert's talking a good game.
Yes,
But I guess it's important for the plot that he's bad at his job.
I guess so.
Gary, though, remains Kit's number one suspect. In the bistro, Maria's impressed that Gary has such a laissez-faire approach to Kit's searching of the yard and the confiscation of his stuff, but Gary insists that he's got nothing to hide. Later, Kit approaches Gary and Maria in the street, and Maria's starting to think that this is harassment. Kit says that until something happens to prove him otherwise, Gary will remain at the top of his list. I've got an alibi, he says, giving Maria's arse a squeeze. We'll see, says Kit, and he gives Gary's arse a squeeze. Then they all fuck, and Maria has far less to do than you'd imagine.
Are you surprised?
And that's as far as we get with that this week. That's what Gary said.
They do love a bromance on this show, don't they? I miss Phil with 2 L's. And him mud wrestling with Tyrone.
And the water pistols.
Yes.
So good.
While they're naked.
Oh, they were in the Christmas jumpers when they had the water pistols, weren't they?
Yeah.
But then they got all
Only
wet.
in
and
only
they
in
had to
my
take them
mind
off.
are they naked.
They had to take off their Christmas jumpers.
And actually, it's just Phil with 2 L's who's naked. Let's be honest.
Phil with 2 something.
They don't call him Phil with 2 L's for nothing.
Lovely stuff. So, what'd you make of this storyline then?
I can see now how they could possibly drag this out for months.
I'm so surprised that the murder had such a C storyline feel to it. It's like, it's almost an inconvenience at this point. We jump about. We've got Todd a little bit at the start of the week. We've got Summer, not even obviously about Theo in the
Right.
middle of the week.
Yes.
And then Gary at the end.
Yeah.
And nothing is any different to what it was at the start of the end of last week.
Yes.
And this is a murder. And as Swain keeps on saying, oh, this is going to take us time. We've got to drag this out until June or July.
Right, because we also have this pedophile to investigate, and there are only 2 of us.
So it would seem. Bring back Abney.
And the guy who was going to throw Bernie in for killing Mal, who's actually not dead.
What's happened to him?
What has happened to Mal? It feels like he's completely disappeared off the face of the planet. He's like an F-level story now.
Right.
They're not returning his phone calls.
No, when you think, but you think about this, we were building up to this for months. The Who was going to get murdered.
Right.
We had a whole week where we repeated the same day over and over again. This was
Right.
the biggest thing going.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, there was like 2 scenes on Tuesday.
Yeah.
There was really nothing much. There was a couple of scenes on Wednesday. So little. Or a couple of scenes on Thursday. So little progression through this story. It does seem like we're just not interested in this right now. Maybe next week we'll have a little bit more, but
No.
it doesn't.
Oh, no, wait. Never mind. Yes. I thought we were still talking about Mal there for a second. There is no Mal next week.
Well, thanks for confirming. But we get some of the murder stuff next week.
Yes, we
Okay,
do get
good.
murder stuff next week.
Okay, good.
Yes. See, that's all the stuff here at the top.
Lovely.
But that's not the part that I think you'll enjoy.
I usually enjoy the bit at the top.
Too much information there,
Our
Boom.
final storyline tonight is Sam's Shite Club.
Who would...
Which one's Tyler Durden? Was that Brad Pitt or was that Ed Norton?
Ed Norton.
No.
Tyler is the normal guy, right?
No.
And not the cool, sexy guy
No,
who makes soap out of people?
No, the normal guy's not named.
Oh, that's right.
So it must be in the Brad Pitt character.
Which is weird.
So that's Roy. We'll get to it.
Or Will.
On Monday, Sam was excited at school because there's a meteor shower tonight. He invites Hope to the park and she misunderstands his offer and suggests that they get some vodka in for it. Sam is mortified and explains about the meteor, and now Hope is less keen. Sam explains that the skies will be reminiscent of how they were 2,000 years ago and has trouble understanding why she wouldn't want to see that. Fine, I'll go, she says. Really, asks Sam. No, says Hope, and she wanders away muttering, fucking meteor shower, man.
But which does not make any sense that she would react this way to Sam wanting to go see a meteor shower. They have been friends and sometimes lovers for years.
They haven't been lovers.
Well, they've dated. And it's just funny to say lovers when it's Sam and Hope.
Do you know, now that they're a little bit older, I would love it if the two of those kids got together.
Well, remember they were technically boyfriend,
Yeah,
girlfriend
but,
there
you
for a
know.
little while. Hope knows Sam. Hope knows that Sam likes telescopes and looking at stars. Hope has looked through Sam's telescope before, and I don't mean that in a dirty way.
I think Hope just generally likes hanging out with Sam, and Sam generally likes hanging out with Hope.
Right, so why would she be so rude to him about this?
When
It makes
she's
no
gone,
sense.
Sam sees Will storming towards him, and then he turns away at the last minute, leaving Sam wondering what the fuck that was all about. Later, Sam is walking with all his telescope gear when Will again appears out of nowhere. Sam crosses the street, but it seems that Will has crossed the street too. Sam drops his big telescope and it smashes. He picks up the pieces and runs away, Will shouting that he'll kill him when he gets his hands on them, despite having had plenty of opportunities to do so. On Tuesday, Sam tells all this to Hope in the community garden, and she thinks it's weird that Will didn't catch him considering that he's a runner. She's saying everything that we were thinking.
Yeah.
Then Leanne shows up and sees the state of his telescope. Oh, Sam. Back at the bistro, Toya's brought into this, and she too is disappointed at the state of his telescope. Oh, Sam. And then Leanne and Toya
In fairness, it looks like a very expensive telescope.
It does. And then Leanne and Toya talk about Will, who stole money from the safe in another storyline, and who's on his way to Scotland. Later, Sam brings Hope up to speed with all this, and reckons no one believes him. Maybe you're going mad, she suggests, and then laughs at the idea of Will postponing his departure to Scotland so he can chase Sam round the block a couple of times.
Yes.
And she's talking an awful lot of sense here.
Absolutely.
Sam is furious at this and barks at her to shut the fuck up. On Wednesday, Sam is in a foul mood with Nick and then Hope. Hope tells him about Will going to the police and Sam snaps that he doesn't care. Fucking weirdo, mutters Hope. At school, they see the police hanging around speaking to pupils and teachers, and Hope reckons that maybe Sam will get some time off school if he has to go and testify. At the bistro, Sam was in her booth doing homework with his headphones on. Nick warns Toya that he's not communicating, so she goes over and tries to talk to him, but he snaps at her again, grabs his stuff and leaves. "I just want to be left alone," he moans. And next we see him, he's decided to take the Ginnell home, and of course he sees Will, who orders him to come here, and Sam runs but ends up in a dead end, and Will has chased after him with his big fucking clown shoes and cornered him and snarls that he's going to teach him a lesson. Sam decides to fight back. And then we cut to an overhead view and we see Sam booting the absolute fuck of fresh air.
Yes. And occasionally making contact with a trash can. Uncle Stephen would be proud.
The show tweeted this scene out and said, "What did you think about the twist?"
And everybody
we're like,
said, "What twist?"
But that was a twist. We went, "Oh, we weren't meant to know that?"
Yeah.
Really?
Seriously? Because, like, Will is dressed the same way each time.
And also was going to Scotland at the time.
Right, yes.
And also crossed the street without crossing the street.
Right.
And also never seems to be able to catch Sam.
Right.
Until right at the end there.
Yeah.
So
It wasn't a twist, guys.
I think this...
Guys, I don't think you know what a twist is.
I think this was fairly obvious right from the start. This was the most obvious thing that the show's done for a good while, I think.
Guys, I think you need to watch more M. Night Shyamalan movies.
This has got M. Night Shyamalan written all over it. That's how bad it is.
Bad M. Night Shyamalan. Late M. Night Shyamalan. This has trap
Anything
written.
that's not The Sixth Sense, basically. Although Signs was kind of good.
Yes, this is trap M. Night Shyamalan. This is not Sixth Sense M. Night Shyamalan.
I quite liked Knock at the Cabin.
I haven't seen that yet.
I quite liked it.
I really enjoyed Signs. I thought Signs was very good.
It's just fashionable. Well, it was fashionable to knock M. Night Shyamalan's movies.
That one with the cars and and the disease and stuff. That one's not good.
We need to address it then that Sam is officially hallucinating.
Remember when we complained about the idea of this being Sam being red pilled as a storyline? Now I kind of wish that Sam has been red pilled as a storyline, as opposed to Sam hallucinating as a storyline.
Is it Sam has signs of schizophrenia here? Is it Sam, is that overdose of ADHD pills had such a dramatic effect on his mental capabilities?
Is
it
it
the
stress?
Is
I
it
feel
the
like
Megan
it's
thing?
stress. I feel like it's stress. Because it kind of feels like the same thing that Carla went through, which, again, pointing out another storyline that deals with stress going into a mental break. It feels like you've done it enough, Coronation Street. Cut it out. You know what else you've done enough of, Coronation Street? Teenage pregnancy. So maybe you need to delete that thing that you're thinking of doing in a month or so and maybe not do it. I'm just saying that now.
Well, I genuinely don't know what you're talking about.
Good. I think it's generally due to stress and PTSD with the whole Megan thing.
Well, the Carla hallucinating was helped by Uncle Stephen's LSD.
Right, but no, I mean the first time that Carla was hallucinating, not the LSD Carla hallucinating. I feel like we've talked about Uncle Stephen a little too much this
I think so. Read into that what you will.
That's we actually miss Uncle Stephen now.
I don't know. I think that whole ADHD drug thing has got something to do with it. Because otherwise, why was it? He overdosed on it, let's remember.
Yes. Do you think...
And after the overdose is when the hallucinations started.
Do you think speed makes people hallucinate?
I think if you overdose on something that affects your brain, who knows what effect it's going to have on it? Is it conceivable? Maybe. Is it schizophrenia? I don't know. Do teenagers get schizophrenia?
That's usually when it starts, yes. But I don't think he's schizophrenic. Or any of the other mental illnesses that involve hallucination. I think it's just, it's stress and his body not having a place to put that stress. Kind of like, Like when you wake up from a coma and there are holes in your memory, and so your brain fills it in with hallucinations, sort of thing. It feels more like PTSD and stress than anything else. I hate it, no matter what it is. I hate it.
I'm glad that they're giving Sam something else to do, but I don't want it to be this.
No. It's like the whole Debbie thing. You know, it's like she's doing this brilliantly because she is an incredibly talented actor. But you also hate to see it because she's an incredibly talented actor and you want good things for her.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with Sam.
On Thursday, Sam seems to be staying at Leanne's these days, but he's in no better mood, and we don't get any insights into how or what he thinks happened in the Ginnell yesterday after we cut away. He's in a hurry to get to his exam, so he dinges a call from Nick. When he gets home, he wants to study at Leanne's, so she leaves him to it to make some snacks, and when she's gone, Will appears in the flat and threatens to kick the fuck out of Sam. And then he leaves, slamming the door just as Leanne comes in. When Sam nervously asks if she heard the front door slam, she says it was just the wind catching the bedroom door, probably. And then she presents the snacks. Sam leaves and heads to the office in the bistro, where he learns from a sobbing Nick and a stoic Toya that Megan has pled not guilty, which will mean that he'll have to give evidence in court. When they go, he puts his headphones on, and it's Will's voice that he hears telling him that he can't trust Nick or Toya. Later, he's watching Nick and Toya on the bistro CCTV, and although they're talking about getting some English wine into their stock, what he hears is that they think that he's jealous of Will, and Nick is ashamed of Sam. I'm on my own, Sam says, twice.
Oh, yeah.
On Friday, Nick
And this is the point where I'm like, wait a second. He's having visual and oral hallucinations. And he's also hallucinating recordings on a CCTV. Is he hallucinating the movements as well?
No, he's watching them on the laptop, the CCTV.
Right, yes. But he's hallucinating what they're saying. But they're still, like, making the same movements. But he's hallucinating what they're saying on a recording.
Oh, it's live.
Right. But it's something he's listening to in his headphones. And I kind of feel like hallucinations don't exactly work that way. That when you have like an audio hallucination, it's not from something that you're watching visually. That it doesn't work like that. It's either one or the other.
I have no idea.
I'm very confused by this whole storyline and also angry at it.
On Friday, Nick and Toya meet Roy and Devs, and once again they ask him to bail them out against their parental shortcomings. Roy actually likes Sam, so it's no big deal for him, and he promises to pop in later and play a game or two of chess. He has time because the cafe is still a couple of days away from reopening. So Roy meets Sam in a booth in the bistro, where Sam is preoccupied with his school bag, in which he's found a tracker. Roy can't think who would want to track Sam or which spy master has got their hands on such technology, and Roy is genuinely amazed to learn that they're easy to get a hold of these days. He suggests a game of chess, and when Sam is reluctant because there's a lot in his mind, Roy thinks that there's nothing better than chess to focus it. So they go set up in the office, but before they get started, Roy is called away to the cafe where the builders are seemingly unable to follow simple fucking instructions. Later, we see Sam hunched over the board in deep thought, and Roy off-screen asks him to make his move, which is our first clue that Sam is hallucinating an evil version of Roy. Evil Roy tells Sam that the two of them are very much alike, as both were bitter disappointments to their parents. He saw the world differently, like Sam, which is why Nick will be disappointed and perhaps an unwilling guardian.
Was Roy a disappointment to his parents?
Yes.
I don't feel like I've gotten that backstory ever.
Yeah, when his mum was in the show.
I don't remember his mum.
Right.
That was before my time.
Sam wonders if Nick even wants him. Evil Roy thinks that they should begin playing chess and apologises for coming to such a logical conclusion. He just wants the best for Sam, which does not include abandonment. Then Evil Roy is gone, and Normal Roy is there. Sam thanks him for his advice, which doesn't seem to confuse Roy at all.
He looks a little confused.
He just apologises for having to step out. Afterwards, Roy tells Nick and Toya that he agrees that Sam isn't himself and thinks a lot of this has to do with a tracker that he claims to have found in his bag. But where's anyone going to get their hands on a tracker? They're everywhere, says Toya. And then we see Nick.
Burst
Fucking
into
Nick, man.
tears.
Nick admits that he was the one who planted the tracker.
And Toya looks like she wants to kill him.
Yes. And before she's able to give him a volley of abuse, he starts to cry and says that he only wanted to make sure that Sam was safe. But then we see Sam and Evil Roy on the bench in the community garden. Sam wonders why everyone has it in for him. Evil Roy thinks it's their intellect that makes people hate them and feel threatened. Your enemies will do everything they can to thwart your ambitions, says Evil Roy, and he recommends identifying the foes and taking preemptive steps to negate the threat. Trust no one, he says. Cast off your gentle demeanour and fuck them all up. Evil Roy will help guide them down this path. Are you ready? Asks Evil Roy.
I
Yes.
want to believe, says Sam.
Yes, says Sam. Yes, I am, because now I have to say everything twice. And that's how we end this week's episode.
Oh, I hate this so much.
And it cuts away again, just in case you didn't catch it the first time.
Right, yes.
And we see Sam sitting on the bench.
Sitting on the bench all by
his own.
himself. As if we didn't know already, because Roy would never say any of that.
No, and Sam, I think, knows that Roy wouldn't say any of this because Sam seems surprised that, oh, I've never seen this side of you before, he says.
Uh-huh.
I've got to keep it hidden, says Evil Roy.
Right. But this is all in Sam's mind. So this is just Sam's subconscious telling him things he wants to believe.
Is he talking out loud at this?
It seems like he is. Mm-hmm. And there's nobody around to say, Sam, who are you talking to?
Right.
Or, Sam, who are you running away from? Sam, who are you fighting?
I've just got horrible thoughts that they're going to deal with this as well as they dealt with Tinker's obsessive compulsive disorder.
Or Carla's mental illness. Or Max's ADHD. See, it would make sense for Sam to be buying ADHD drugs if there was still somebody on the street who had ADHD.
I don't even disapprove of them giving Sam a mental health story, but it's the hallucination side of it that just really doesn't sit well with me.
I think we've just proven the show does not have a good track record with giving characters mental health stories.
No, but that doesn't mean that they shouldn't keep trying. Because one of these times they're going to get it spot on and we're all going to be super impressed by it. I don't feel like this is going to be that time. And I feel really sorry because I do think Jude's a good wee actor, and I think his character needs something that's a little bit more interesting than just playing chess occasionally with Roy. Although all those things are just characters playing a simple game with
Right.
each other. They're typically the things that fans enjoy most about that week.
Right.
Like seeing people play Scrabble and chatting about it is stuff that fans of Coronation Street typically enjoy.
Yes. I just want to cut in here and say Adderall-induced psychosis is actually a thing. So you were right. I was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's abused and taken in high doses. So the show may actually be right because it can cause visual, auditory, or tactile hallucinations.
Well, we've got a noise for me being right. And that's it.
Is it?
It'll do.
I associate that noise with something else.
It's a multi-purpose noise.
It's true.
So maybe the combination of all this then.
But again, I feel like he's gotten all the Adderall out of his system because Adderall doesn't stay in your body for very long. So I'm not sure that it's something that would start or would continue after you've stopped taking it.
See, anything that fucks about with your brain, I think can have lasting effects. And can take a while to start working and can still be working quite some time after you stop taking it. You shouldn't be fucking about with your brain, man.
Unless you absolutely need it.
Well, sure.
If you have ADHD, please, for the love of God, take your ADHD medication.
Yeah.
I speak as someone who has a son with ADHD and a boss with ADHD.
Yeah, I'm not a doctor of medicine.
He's a doctor of love.
That's right. The D is for... No, never mind.
Not what you think.
It is. And of course this all has to coincide with everyone doing the worst thing they possibly can for Sam at the moment without realising it, like fucking Nick.
Putting a tracker in his bag. And it seems like he just like chucked it in as well.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't try to hide it, like sew it into the seams or something.
So many trackers have been out lately and they all get discovered. You can't have a tracker and not have it discovered, and Nick should absolutely know that.
It's hilarious to me, Roy saying out loud, is it really that easy to get a tracker? Because there are so many trackers on the show.
True.
It feels like the show being just a little self-aware there, which I approve of.
I have to say though, I'm enjoying Evil Roy.
Are ya?
Yes.
I'm not.
It's seeing David Nielsen do something different.
Wasn't he kind of evil and a little creepy when he was first on the show?
He was creepy. He wasn't really evil. He was creepy. And he can still be a little bit creepy. If you don't know him, you would think he was creepy.
Right,
This
yes,
is why it
because
was
the old
perfectly
creepy Roy
reasonable.
thing, yeah.
This is all why it was perfectly reasonable for Swain to arrest him. But I think that seeing our evil glint in his eye, this is a storyline that is asking David Nielsen to do things that he's never had to do as Roy.
Right.
Or has had to do very, very infrequently. What I'm really worried about, and I don't know if this is something that can be played out in a British soap opera because of things that have happened. But if this was an American soap opera,
Which, let's not forget, has on occasion included space aliens and chimpanzees.
I'm not going for anything as outlandish. Sadly, I'm going for something that happens far, far too often.
Yes.
Is that Sam is gearing up
For amnesia?
for a school shooting.
Oh, God, no. It would be very difficult for him to get a gun.
Yeah, and I don't think, I remember
Amnesia might be fun, though.
I remember Dunblane very, very well. It was the police tore by the motorway of my work going from Stirling to Dunblane that morning, and I'll never forget that. And I'll never forget how that town felt after it. So I don't think this is something that the show can really go near.
No.
But the way that this has been presented is like Roy has a manifesto here that he's teaching
Right.
Sam.
It does feel like Evil Roy is hinting that he needs to take people out.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Remember when we had breakfast in Sandy Hook?
Yeah.
Like right after.
Yeah,
It's not something
It's
that
not- I don't need my soap operas to be about this.
No.
But it's just kind of unnerving.
It's bad enough when police procedurals and medical shows do it.
Yeah.
I don't need it in my soap operas.
So let's hope that that's not where we're going.
Yes. Hopefully it's chimpanzees, space aliens, and amnesia.
Every day of the fucking week, please. Well, that was the week that was Coronation Street. Helen, what was your moment of the week?
It's I hate to say it, but I kind of feel like it's Daniel and Jodie being gal pals,
Wow.
drinking wine and watching Real Housewives of Reno on the telly,
Reno now?
drinking wine. Yeah, I figured it should be an American show.
It should be.
Yeah,
Although there are real housewives in Rio as well, I'm sure.
I'm sure. Yes.
Controversially, is this Daniel's first? It can't be.
No, I think he's had it before. I think his fake wedding was moment of the week.
I'll check my records. There are records. That is our
Moment of the week.
your burning moment of the week.
Ken teaching Bertie 19th century English poetry. Ken going, I wandered lonely as and Bertie going, cloud.
For a moment of loneliness.
Fucking hell.
Jeez. What have we learnt this week, Helen? What have we learnt?
Nothing.
All that we've got is just a little bit older.
Yes. And reminded of 19th century English poetry.
Is that Wordsworth?
Think so. Yeah, that's the start of that Daffodils poem, isn't it?
Yeah, William Wordsworth.
Yeah.
Yay!
All right, it's our Yay Meh section. We ask our Twitter followers what they thought of this week's episodes, and the results that we got this week, well, a little surprising. This is 18.2%, Meh 45.5%, and Jay 36.4%. Again, this just isn't, it's not getting in front of nearly as many people as it used to, and I've no idea why.
Because Twitter is dying.
Ozzy Ali says,
Finally.
still picking myself up off the floor after that massive Sam twist. Yeah, you and me both.
Ha 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 ha.
And then Lynn said, Tuesday was phenomenal. The Tim/Will chat. Oh.
I'm now feeling a little sorry that we didn't give Tim Moment of the Week. We've given Tim Moment of the Week a lot of times being, everyone's dad.
And Jilly says, that conversation with Roy on the bench had me laughing for a good 5 minutes. Ridiculous. Thank you very much
Yay.
for your input, Jilly, Lynn, and to Ozzy Ali. We don't let those scores or comments influence us, obviously. Helen, what score are you going to give the show this week out of 10?
I mean, it was better than last week, but not
I
by
would agree.
much.
Yes.
Like 6.5.
I'll give it 6.
Yeah.
Better than last week. I think if you're going to shove this whodunit down their throat and you're going to keep on doing it, it needs to be a little bit more front and centre, I think. That was what really got me. Plus, I don't know, hallucinations and maybe the Tim and Will stuff just didn't deliver what I thought it was going to.
Yeah, it was
You
not.
know, there was-
It didn't have the impact and gravitas that I expected
yeah,
from
maybe I
Tim.
expected a little bit more. But
From Tim.
oh well, never mind. All
Bring
right,
back Tiny, that's what I say.
we'll wrap this one up then. This episode is brought to you with thanks to our friends of the podcast: Daisy, French Helen, Pickles, DT, Wendy, Noel, Canadian Helen, Christy, Shandy, English Victoria, Aurora Yvonne, Heather Westerfield, Russell Whiting, Brittany Porter, Laurie Anna, Tina, Leah, Tara, J, Fiona B, Canadian Jennifer, Josephina Tingy, Anne Greenwood, Trish R, Sarah Purbrick, Ali Q, Hunker Munker, Darren, the artist formerly known as Steal My Fridge, Pamela, Marge JT, Tom Ambrose, Christopher Anstey, Terry Nelly, Joe T, Corey Dales, Matthew McKinney, Welsh Emma, Matthew S, Rachel B, Uranium Jennifer, Catherine Monchero, Gary Heatley, Pam but not that one, Una, Amy, Jenny Roll, Ozzy Ali,
Oi.
Chris Horrocks, Cameron from Edmonton, Matt Birch, Library Jen, Jack the Mariner, David MacArthur, Saskatchewanian Karina, and Rebecca. Thank you ever so much, folks, for being friends of the podcast. We very much appreciate it. If you've ever thought that Will was a sprinter, write in to tell us about it. We're the Talk of the Street at gmail.com, and we're at Corrie Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Threads and Blue Sky, or you can reach us the old-fashioned way, the Talk of the Street, P.O. Box 12, Eaton Rapids, Michigan, 48827. Our spoiler show will be available shortly after this one, and in this month's classics we're talking about episode 668. Get access to this exclusive content by becoming a friend of the podcast. Find all the links at corriepodcast.com, and be sure to check out our pop culture sister podcast, The List of Lists.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus, good sheep. Jim Parsons, bad sheep.
Thanks for making it to the end of another episode, and we will be back next week with more
I'll talk of the street.
Talk of the Street.
Bye.
Cheerio.